We are grateful to our sponsors, Kelly Stafford with Stafford Tree Service and also Black Kow Cow Manure. If you need your trees trimmed locally, remember Stafford Tree Service at staffordtreesvc.com, and please visit Black Kow Cow Manure, that's K-O-W. Remember, both of the contact details are in the description below. Roses are part of history, I guess. They're also part of growing a beautiful plant. People love roses, but we know that some roses are going to be more of a problem, and by that, roses need a little bit more care. The knockout roses are some of the tougher roses that you can have, but I don't want to delude you into thinking that you won't ever have some problems, because I had one of my friends, one of our clients, in New York City contact me, and she had problems. A, the pH of the soil wasn't quite right, and B, she was having some fungal problems. Even though knockout is kind of billed as a rose that is relatively free of black spot. Black spot's one of the main fungal diseases that you get into a lot with roses. It is more resistant, but remember, resistant does not mean immunity. And a lot of folks kind of think it's the same thing. They'll go, well, if I have this, I'm not ever going to have any problems. Au contraire, you can have problems with knockout roses, but maybe not as much. This one's called a double knockout. And some of the original knockout roses that we saw had just kind of a flat single flower. These have more of a double, and hence the name, double knockout. It has a beautiful reddish, dark red, almost maroon color, and because of that, it really is a showstopper. You'll see these used, in this case, they were being used in the middle of New York City in a buffer area down the middle of a road. So if you're looking for something to brighten up those areas, often we see ground covers used, and ground covers are nice, but let's face it, most ground covers are kind of blah. If you're looking for something more interesting and something that really could be a little bit of a fragrance, give you some nice color, then you might want to consider the knockout roses. Now, I would check my pH. It ought to be about 5.5 to 6.5, slightly acidic. If it's too alkaline or it's too acid. The soil that we saw from New York City was too acid, and I recommended that we put some dolomite, normally about 65 pounds per 1,000 square feet, to help raise that pH 1 unit. Inversely, if it was too alkaline, we could use some sulfur and we could lower the pH. Usually about 7 pounds of sulfur per 1,000 square feet will help to lower that pH. pH is kind of important because remember, if the acidity isn't correct, you can't bring up nutrients like you'd like. So pH is one of those things that you probably should check every time you either put in a new flower bed, a new rose bed, or a vegetable garden. You should check your pH and adjust it accordingly. I would add a lot of organic matter, a lot of peat, a lot of organic matter to the soil if you want your best results for roses. They're heavy feeders and probably should be fed about once a month during the growing season. You can either use a good time-released fertilizer, which you can sprinkle around, or you could use a water-soluble and use it according to label directions. Occasionally, you're going to get some dead wood in roses. It just occurs. As that branch dies back, go ahead and cut it back into live wood. You can see we've got a little bit of a dead branch right here, so it needs to come back a little bit. If it happens, it's not the end of the world. Every plant can have some dead wood on occasion. Roses need to be brought back. Remember, roses were thought of as a weed at one time. They were growing wild in some of the countryside in England, and people went, oh, every time I go through there, I'm getting stuck. Yes, it's a pretty flower, but you can see where that could be a problem. In your rose bed where you've got plenty of room, now you still can get stuck. I recommend that you wear some work gloves, either leather or at least cotton, to make sure that you can kind of protect yourselves from getting stuck. They do have thorns, and for some folks that can be a bit of a problem, though I find the knockout not to be as thorny as some of the hybrid teas. It's a beautiful rose that grows to a nice height, probably get to be about 3 to 5 feet tall. You can keep it lower than that by trimming. I would definitely add some organic matter at planting and make sure you can get water to it on a pretty regular basis. If you do get some black spot, there are some fungicides that you can buy at your local nursery garden supply store that will be helpful. Remember that new videos will be dropping on your favorite social media platforms every Saturday at 10 a.m. And if you like this video, please hit subscribe, and thank you once again for watching.